Let's look at the simplest way to beam together two eighth notes. Suppose I have an eighth note on the first space and an eighth note on the second line, and I want to beam those two eighth notes together. I'm going to start the exact same way that I would start if I had two quarter notes. So here's my first note head on the first space. I'm going to write the note head, and then I'm going to write the line that goes up one octave. Then I'm going to write a note head on the second line, and then again I'm going to have a line that goes up for one octave, so just a little bit taller. So notice, there's already a slope between these two stems. If I make the stem exactly one octave above the note head, there's already a slope here that's going to follow the direction of my two note heads. So all I need to do to make these into beamed eighth notes is to connect the tips of those two stems with a line. Let me try the same thing going down, two notes that are above the staff. So let's suppose I have a note in the the fourth space and the fourth line. I'm going to make my note heads, go down an octave, and then just connect those two stems like that. There we go. That's the easiest case. Suppose, however, I have one note head that's above the third line and another note head that's below the third line. In that case, we have to measure which note head is further away from the third line. And whichever note head is further away from the third line is the note head that's going to win. So, suppose I have a note head on my fifth line and on my second space. The note head that's on the second space, right here, is only one space away from the third line, so it's very close to the third line. Whereas my note head that's on the fifth line up here, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines or spaces away from the third line. So the note head that's on the fifth line is going to win. So both of these are going to be down stems if we're going to beam them. Both going to be down stems like this. And there we go. The same thing holds true if we have more than two notes that we're beaming together. Suppose we have a note head on the fourth line. Suppose we have a note head on the third space, and then we have a note head on the second line like this. Okay, so we have two notes that are above the third line, and then we have one note that is below the third line. So that note is, the two notes that are above the third line are going to be the winners. So all of these note heads are going to have stems that go down like this. And then we can beam them together like that. Now, it gets a little bit trickier sometimes if we have eighth notes that go all over the place. Then we have to use our judgment a little bit. And, for instance, if I have a note head that's up here, going to a note head that's down here, going to one that's down here, and then back up here, obviously this is not going to work, or we're going to have a beam that sort of goes crooked like this, and we can't have crooked beams. Beams are always going to be one straight line. So the two principles you want to keep in mind are, you want the beam to at least go in the same direction as the slope of the notes. And these notes sort of generally are sloping downward, so we want to keep that in mind. And most of the notes are above the third line. So all these are going to be down stem notes. So the F is going to go down here. The E is going to go down here. C is going to go down here. And what may have to happen is this stem, the stem on the first space, may have to get cheated a little bit. As long as we have one space length of the staff, we can cheat that note just a little bit. and then beam together these notes like this. And if I was doing this freehand, I might do this with a ruler if I were doing this for a more serious project. So those are some of the things to keep in mind with eighth notes and stems.